every time someone wastes seed, they're literally creating themselves the worst type of Gehenom there is. One of these types of Gehenoms that doesn't end, ever. People don't believe in eternal punishment. They think, nah, Kvod Harav, you're machmir, too much. Where does it say in the Torah that it's eternal punishment? Where does it say it? As we all know, we got Torah b'chtav and Torah b'al peh, oral Torah and written Torah. You go to Gemara, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 17a. Wrongdoers of Israel who sin with their body. Sounds familiar, right? And wrongdoers of the Gentiles who sin with their body. Also sounds familiar. Go down to Gehenom and are punished there for 12 months. This first 12 months is the trial. After 12 months, their body is consumed and their soul is burned, and the wind scatters them under the soles of the feet of the righteous. And you shall tread down the wicked, and they shall be as ashes under the soles of the righteous. But as for the minim, and for the informers, and for the scoffers, who rejected the Torah and denied the resurrection of the dead, and those who abandoned the ways of the community, and who sinned and made the masses sin, these will go down to Gehenom and be punished there for all generations. As it says, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have rebelled against me. Meaning Gehenom will be consumed by, they will not be consumed. Meaning Gehenom eventually will end when the Mashiach comes. Eventually there's no more Gehenom, except their part of the Gehenom. That continues forever, 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 forever. Any person who has gotten to the point where he doesn't waste seed anymore, not only he doesn't waste seed on purpose, I'm talking about, that's of course. I'm talking about he got to a point where he doesn't waste seed at night, meaning even accidental. That's a real tzaddik. That's where Yosef HaTzaddik got his name. Somebody like that, if he comes over your house, you can tell everybody, tzaddik balayil. That's a person, you should ask for him for a blessing. Why? Because that's a person that overcame what the Rambam says is the most difficult obstacle in human nature to overcome. Once you become addicted to wasting seed, it's almost impossible to overcome. But what the Rambam is trying to teach us is that if you fail, pick up, try again, and again, and again, and again, and again, until it's finished. When it comes to seed, this is both a physical and a spiritual disease. But human nature is something that you could overcome. Once you admit that you're wrong. If you don't admit that you're wrong, then we've already failed before we started. So when it says that wasting seed is the biggest sin in the Torah, it's not in essence saying it's bigger than Chilul Shabbat, or it's bigger than lending another Jew money and charging him interest. It's in essence saying it's part of the same group, that if you violate it, it's as if you violated the entire Torah. So these are sins you simply have to do everything possible to avoid, especially avoid them on purpose. So many, just to say it clearly so you wake up, it's better you die than make these sins, according to the Torah. But wasting seed and in general immodesty is one of those sins where even if you know it's wrong, it's very hard to do tshuva. The Rambam, as I told you, says this is the hardest thing to overcome. Now there's a few things that a person needs to know about wasting seed. First and foremost, it's hated by Hashem. The Gemara in Masechet Nidah, page 16b, says that each time a seed leaves the body of the man, there's a malach that goes to Hashem and asks Hashem, what should I do with this? This malach's name is Laila. This malach takes the seed to Hashem Yitbarach, to the Kisei HaKavod, and he talks about all of the potential of this seed. This seed could be the biggest rabbi in the world. This seed could be the Mashiach. This seed could be a Mezakeh Rabin. This seed could be Sarah Imenu. This seed could be Chana. This seed could be Rachel. This seed could be Korach. This seed has a lot of potential. What should I do with this one? But that's assuming the seed is going in the right place. When a person misuses his seed, immediately it's known in Shamayim that this seed is going to get killed.
this seed is being destroyed. And the Rambam says anytime a man wastes seed, it's 100% murder. The Gemara elaborates and says that anytime that a person wastes seed, it's as if he brought the flood. Why the flood? Why not something else? Because the Gemara already knew things that we only discovered in recent generations. The flood, what did the flood do? The flood destroyed the entire world. The flood destroyed millions or billions of people. When a man wastes seed, he's also destroying hundreds of millions of souls that had a potential of being the biggest rabbi in the world, the biggest tzadikah in the world. He's destroying hundreds of millions of them. So the Gemara already, with the Ruach HaKodesh, the Chachamim had already knew, without the microscopes and the telescopes and the microphones and the iPods and the iPhones and the scientists that pretend like they know what they're talking about. I already knew. Hashem says, you waste seed, you're bringing the flood. Flood killed millions, you're killing millions. In Shamayim, that's the deen they gave the person. Oh yeah, this person, this Steve. Yeah, Steve just murdered 300 million people today. Wake up, Steve. That was only 9 in the morning. By the time it was 5 o'clock, Steve is bored again. So he decides to kill another 300 million. And the reality is, Rabotai, a person could live his whole life as a murderer and not even know it, because he doesn't realize that the essence of a person is his seed. Meaning the seed is even more significant than the blood itself. Some people like to make excuses. They say things like, no, this is crazy, every guy's addicted to it. Nowhere in any halachic book in the history of Am Yisrael did anyone ever say it's permitted to waste seed. Nowhere. No one ever said it's allowed. In fact, they said it's the worst sin in the entire Torah. The exact opposite. Even before Am Yisrael received the Torah, even before Am Yisrael was even born, it was not allowed. The entire generation of Noah got killed because they wasted seed. Neither one of them were Jewish. Neither one of them had a Torah like we do. Still, Hashem killed them on the spot because they wasted seed. Meaning that this is not only that it's forbidden for Jews, it's forbidden for non-Jews. It's specifically considered disgusting to Hashem. The Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit, page 10a, says Gan Eden is 60 times the size of Earth. Whatever that is, time it by 60, that's Gan Eden. There's two Gan Edens. There's one here, physical, and there's one spiritual, above and beyond. That one is 60 times the size of Earth. Gehenom is 60 times the size of Gan Eden. But some say, no, it's not 60 times the size of Gan Eden. There's no size to Gehenom. Why? It continues to grow. Now anyone with a little bit of sechel ask themselves, why is Gehenom continuing to grow? Is not enough? No, there's more entrants every week. Every week more people join Gehenom and not as many join Gan Eden. Why? Because apparently they haven't done tshuva. The Gemara Masechet Sotah says something very interesting. When there's an increased amount of women that are immodest, and as the Torah describes them, as women with stretched necks and winking eyes. You know, the kind of women that want to get attention. It says a person like that stretched neck and winking eyes, women that like attention, people that do something, she wants to make sure you know that she's the one laughing. She talks loud enough for the neighbors to hear. This is an act of immodesty. And the Gemara says that when there's an increased number of women that are described as walking with stretched necks and winking eyes, the use of bitter waters of the sotah should have been increased as well. That immodesty eventually leads to people cheating on each other. A woman who causes men to sin because she decided to put a picture on the internet because she saw a movie star do it. She wants to feel like she's in Hollywood. She's hoping that Hollywood catches her image on Facebook. And maybe they call it, wait, we saw your picture? You're hired. You're hired because we saw your picture go like that. So you're hired. We're going to put you on Blockbuster movie, $50 million because you puckered your lips. Every woman, she takes pictures, put it on the internet. She wants to make sure everybody knows she can pucker her lips. She looks cute. She puts the most immodest outfit on the world. Everything. A woman doesn't realize what kind of damage she's bringing herself by doing such a thing. Women don't understand how sick the mind of men is. They honestly don't understand. They don't understand how sick men are unless you have Torah. Women don't see it that way. Why? Because they think we think like them. I've said this 1,000 times and still people are surprised. Rabbi Aaron says a woman who causes men to sin because of her immodesty, immodest behavior, immodest dress, immodest laugh, immodest picture, anything, will not be released from Gehenom until all that she created, meaning all the demons that she created from his wasting seed, are destroyed from the world. They talk to you about how they're going to put you in Gehenom if you don't do tshuva for your wasting seed, and they're going to start with the hole that you wasted, and then they're going to rip it apart into 50 million pieces and make sure that you remember this was not what you were supposed to do. And then the woman that liked to expose herself because she wanted to make sure that everybody knows she's around, they're going to hang her by her sex organs on the wall as display, like my client used to hang animals. These are the types of things that Tzaddikim, Kodesh Kodeshim, wrote. I'm going to give you some other things, how to fix this problem. Rabbi Eliyahu Mani, who writes a lot of things that are mamash a tragedy to even read. Some of the things that he writes about what happens to people who don't do tshuva. What the number one cause of death of the tzaddikim is people that waste seed. People that waste seed create demons that look like dogs and pigs. And these dogs and pigs come to hurt them. Asur lishon bebet yechidi, v'kol hayashem bebet yechidi, achazato lilit. It's forbidden to sleep alone in a house. Whoever sleeps alone in the house will be seized by Lilit. Who's Lilit? The wife of the Satan himself that's responsible, helping every man make the crime of wasting seed even when he doesn't want to. A person that wastes seed, even if he's born with a fortune of good mazal, all will be turned until he becomes poor and loses on all the things that he does, to the extent that even the place he lives will start rejecting him. Even the land itself becomes disgusted from him and all the sins that he made, that it vomits him. How to fix all of this? First and foremost, the person needs to watch his eyes. This is a given. This is something we all know about. We're going to go into details in a moment. But he has to watch his eyes to the extent that he's not even allowed to see animals doing what they do. He also has to watch his mouth. If you curse, you will waste seed. But if you want to do serious tshuva, this is a must. Don't speak to the woman. The Mishnah says, who is this woman? His own wife. Don't speak to her too much. Meaning, speak just enough to do what you need to do, to maintain the relationship, to pay attention to her, but don't become her second girlfriend. Talk when it's necessary. Talk when it has a meaning. Needless to say, don't talk to strangers. If it's a strange woman, unless she's your manager, your customer, your boss, you have absolutely no reason to talk to her. A guy shouldn't even get to a point of even touching women or their clothing. All of these men that are in the clothing business, if it's women's clothing, they should probably find a different profession. Further, don't waste your time being sad. Sadness leads to wasting seed, sadness leads to promiscuity, sadness leads to a lot of problems. All of these things that make people sad, get over it. You don't, you're letting the Yetzer Hara park in your house. And the Yetzer Hara, he's not looking for you to make small sins. He's looking for you to start with small sins. And then he takes over the entire account. Listening to unholy music, unholy things, any type of secular music, non-kosher music, non-Torah music is going to lead a person to wasting seed. People that like to listen to rap full of curses, people that like to listen to hip-hop full of curses, people like to listen to these types of songs that talk about arrogance, money, promiscuity, all types of garbage. It's not just bad for your time, it's bad for your neshama. It's bad for your neshama. You listen to it, you're going to think it. You're going to think it, you're going to do it. That's why the Rambam posek, he says, Ilurei avera are worse than avera. Thinking about the avera is even worse than the avera itself. Also, when you go to sleep, make sure you don't have clothing or shoes around your bed. Also, spider webs above the bed. But also, another Chacham says that it also leads to shlom bayit problems. Even if you don't have arachnophobia, doesn't make a difference. You have spider webs, clean it. Also, people that don't wash their hands in the morning, that don't do netilat yadayim, they're not careful with netilat yadayim, they should know that when you go to sleep, it's 1/60th of death, and when you wake up in the morning, there's a special malach that's still on there. That malach is the daughter of the Satan. You're not even allowed to touch your ears. You're not allowed to touch your nose. You're not allowed to touch your genitals. You're not allowed to touch your mouth. The Gemara says it's better off you cut off his hand than him touching himself, any part of his body, before he washes his hand with netilat yadayim. Next is sleeping too much. Sleeping too much leads to wasting seed, especially sleeping deep. Also, it's treating mitzvot lightly. He says if you start treating mitzvot lightly, you're going to waste seed. Why? Because your mind is not clean, and at night it's not going to be strong enough that when the Satan's wife shows up, you're not going to be able to beat her. Or anybody that disrespects the sages. You start saying, nah, Rashi, I don't think Rashi was right on this one. Rambam, nah, I'm not really sure. You treat the sages lightly, no good. Or somebody likes to play with his hair. You ever see these guys play with their hair? You know, they put the gel in their hair and they do their hair 500 times a day. You know, in case Hollywood shows up, no good. It's going to lead to wasting seed. You're too comfortable with your body. But worse than anything else, everything I read to you until now, there's one thing that's worse than everything. Gava. Someone that's arrogant. A person that's arrogant is guaranteed to waste seed. Not only accidental, but also on purpose. Because the root of wasting seed is gava. Such an extent that Rabbi Nachman Mibreslov says, the people that are gaftanim, the people that are arrogant, end up wasting seed. If they don't have that under control, they're going to become very promiscuous. If they don't have that under control, they're going to become homosexuals too. Once a person does not control his arrogance and starts thinking that everything belongs to them, their body belongs to them, somebody else's body belongs to them, and doesn't control himself, has excuses for everything, she has excuses for everything, eventually their natural state is not going to be so natural. The Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 17a, says, depends what level of Gehinom a person is in. If there are 7 levels of Gehinom, the Reshit Chochmah, which I actually have with me for anyone that wants to look at it, so they don't think I'm making this stuff up. The Reshit Chochmah gives detailed explanations of what happens in every one of the Madorot, every one of the chambers in Gehinom. It also tells what kind of sins you do in order to get into a certain chamber. For example, right over here, the Mador Revi'i Nikra Tita Yavin, the 4th chamber of Gehinom, and just Baruch Hashem, it happens to be open. The 4th chamber of Gehinom is called Tita Yavin. And there, they put people that have arrogance, people that are arrogant, people that make fun of poor people, people that shame poor people, people that waste seed unintentionally, and also people that go with goyot. Guys that go with goyot, that's the place for them is the 4th level of Gehinom. And there's other things. 5th level, for example, calls Sheol. The 5th level is called Sheol. Over there, they put people that are Muslim. If you go call the cops on a Jew, call the IRS on a Jew, you have a serious problem, you call the Moser. If you tell people to donate money to a church, you call the Moser. If apikos is someone that's a heretic. A kofer, also different type of heretic. Someone that's even a kofer in Tchiat HaMetim, they don't believe in resurrection of the dead. Also, they go to the 5th level. And so on and so forth. The Gemara says in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, the first 6 levels have a certain amount of time frame. Different sins, different sentence. Sin, let's say A, has 1 year. Sins B has 2 years. Sin C has 10 years, and so on and so forth. So the Gemara says certain people go and have to pay only for 1 year, only for 2 years, only for 1,000 years, and so on and so forth. But when the Mashiach comes, they'll be taken out, they'll join the rest of Am Yisrael at Tzadikim, and they'll have an eternity of good, Be'ezrat Hashem. But there's a 7th level. The 7th level of Gehinom, anyone that enters does not leave. They go in there and they never leave. Gemara says even after Mashiach comes, even after Tchiat HaMetim, even after the end of this world, it's an eternity of Gehinom until the Neshama is officially destroyed, which could be millions and millions of years. And the sins that a person does in order to get to the 7th level of Gehinom, Rabotai Karim, are so easy to make, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. How people are mamash putting themselves in the eternity of Gehinom with a simple sin. One of those sins is Chilul Shabbat. Someone that violates Shabbat on purpose and does not do tshuva, dies without doing tshuva for Chilul Shabbat, meaning they live their life as a Mechalel Shabbat or Mechalelet Shabbat. They go into the 7th level of Gehinom and do not end. Mashiach, no Mashiach, resurrection of the dead, all that stuff doesn't not apply to them. Second type of sin, it says over here, Amar sheyesh makom begehinom v'hu nikra tzoar o tachat. מדור השביעי, תחתית הארץ, היורד לשם שוב אינו עולה. Someone that goes into it, the 7th level, it's called תחתית הארץ. Someone that goes into it does not come out. And it says that there's different parts of it. One of it is boiling feces, another part is boiling seed, other is different types of fire. Hashem Erachem. One person is a Mechalel Shabbat that goes in there. Dies a Mechalel Shabbat. He didn't do tshuva. If he did tshuva, they don't have to worry about it. But if they didn't do tshuva, they have a very, very serious, permanent problem. Second is someone that's wasting seed. Lechatchila. Meaning, they waste seed on purpose. Like, unfortunately, many guys today, young and old, they're addicted to it. They do it sometimes daily, sometimes multiple times daily, sometimes a few times a week. You die without doing tshuva for wasting seed, my friend, doesn't matter if you kept Shabbat. Gehinom starts and doesn't end for you. Rabotai, it's not a joke. You learn about Gehinom. When I learned about it, I started crying. It's not a place you want anyone in there, including yourself or anyone you love. Wasting seed is a serious crime against Hashem. Next one, it says, someone's a machtia rabim. Someone that causes other people to sin. A woman that walks around immodest, she causes guys to sin. They end up wasting seed because of her. What do you think? She goes away free while he's in jail forever? No, my friends. A woman that walks around immodest, that causes other men to sin, she's considered a machtia rabim. Hashem yirachem aleinu. This could be our sisters. This could be our daughters, Hashem yirachem. This could be people that we know. This could be our mothers that causes men to sin. That means, Rabotai Karim, there's no free lunch. There's no free lunch, meaning that a woman needs to take on modesty. Why? You don't want to go with such a crime in Shamayim. I know it seems hard to be modest in this world because everybody else is immodest. I know it seems like it's hot and therefore if you're going to put more layers or at least longer clothes, it's going to be unbearable. But I promise you, it's not that hard, and I promise you it's not hotter when you wear longer sleeves. In fact, many times it's hotter when you wear shorter sleeves. Same thing with guys. Guys that don't take advantage of the mitzvah of tzitzit because they think it's too hot, you're wasting a big opportunity to make a mitzvah, and every second you're going to need that mitzvah. You're going to need that mitzvah to protect you. So, guy that could have the excuse, oh no, I'm not wearing tzitzit because it's too hot. When you wear tzitzit, you're actually less hot. And the reason why is because you have layers. When you have layers, you'll have actually less heat. You'll have more wind coming into your body. I promise you, it's not more hot with tzitzit. It's the opposite. Just your Yetzirah telling you. So the point being, Rabotai, is that if a person goes to the first 6 levels of Gehinom, for whatever sins they've committed, there is a punishment. It's a very serious punishment, which you could learn from my shiur about Gehinom. I didn't even go into all the details, but I went into enough details to scare the lights out of everybody, including myself. But it ends at some point. It could be a month, it could be 5,000 years, it could be 5 million years, but at some point it ends. Remember, time over there is not like time over here. So even if Mashiach comes, it doesn't mean that the person, let's say Mashiach comes next year. It doesn't mean that a person that goes to Gehinom tomorrow is only going to be in Gehinom for 1 year. Doesn't mean that. There's no time over there. Meaning that Mashiach can come next year, but that person went to Gehinom for 50,000 years. Why? Because there's no time there. So yeah, here it's a year. Over there it could be 50,000 years. One of the places we learn in the Torah, that time is different over there, is this week's parasha. This week's parasha, Parashat Shlach. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say to Am Yisrael? It says you said something against the land and said lashon hara about the land after going there for 40 years, for 40 days. For every one of your days, I'm going to count a year. Punishment, 40-year punishment. 40 days trip, 1 second actual sin, 40-year punishment. No one from that generation entered Eretz Yisrael. Here we already see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's time span, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's clock is very different than us. 1 second sin could be centuries of punishment. Point being, we have to do tshuva. Little by little you'll do more, little by little you'll get better, and you'll see that this is the best thing you've ever done for yourself. Not just in the next world, but also in this one. In this one. So if a person goes to the first 6, it ends at some point, but that's not necessarily good news. It just means it ends at some point. But if they go into the 7th place because of Machtier Rabim, or Motzim Zera Levatala, or Chilul Shabbat, these 3 major crimes, there's a few others by the way as well, but those are the 3 most common, then they have a permanent problem, because they'll enter Gehenom Hashem Yerachem and they will not leave. And it's not going to be fun.